Great.
All right. Perfect. We'll get there, huh? I'll start that dad joke again then, huh? What did the clock say to the metronome after his stand-up routine? The joke needs some work, but your timing is impeccable. So just off that reading, I guess what we're aiming for is perfection. And what is perfection? Well, I had the joyous opportunity to take 3 amazing souls for a trip down to Canberra. And an interesting car ride, and I think I've expressed a journey in a car, is a wonderful micro study of human behavior in and around. And, if you think about a car ride, inside that vehicle is each different person with different thoughts, feelings, entitlements, knowledge, anticipation, all those kind of things on a trip, and particularly a longer trip, And I think ultimately everyone's goal out of it is the comfort, and on that is a sense of peace, but also of fun and joy. And, it's interesting when you're on that journey, though, when we're sitting outside of ourselves, you can imagine in the world, being on a car ride or a journey back to creation, how everyone's experiences and everyone's karma and everyone's all thrown into the mix. And then everyone having those senses, everyone's feelings and thoughts and precepts and entitlements all come into play, don't they? And so I think a little bit of this journey today, or this fun reading, is almost about that. Well, how high do we aspire? What is our aspirations, and how do we get there? And it's a little bit going back. It's a little bit like the metronome or the pendulum. We have creation, and creation was made of the one being. And to do that, there had to be a vibration created. And with that vibration from center, there is a movement of left and right and ups and downs of life. But at the center, there is them. So the creator didn't have a Bunnings down the road to go and grab, some timber and nail things together and do stuff. It was created through that word and through a vibration. So in that is our duality that we all are a part of, the ups and downs of life, the spinning, and that is the pendulum of life. And, what does that mean? Well, it can be tiring. I mean, we're ultimately all here because we're tired of the swinging, we're tired of having the joy and then it disappear, and having the suffering. And then we're in all aspects of life, whether it's feelings, whether it's health, whether it's anything, we have these ups and downs of life that can come. And it's very interesting because we had our group, our study group, the other Monday night, and we were talking about the yamas and niyamas, and how overwhelming those yamas and niyamas, or the 10 commandments of how we should live and what we should be doing. And when you start living and thinking about how you're engaged in the world, to try and be perfect each one of those can be really overwhelming. And so how do we keep going? And Yogananda gave lots and lots of examples of keep going, of actually having to achieve and having to do those things. And one of them was the story around Encinitas, and Yogananda was very much known around as the Swami that, miracles and good things happened. And it so happened one day that some fishermen had been out fishing several times and come back in without anything. And as Master went past, he said, I think you should go out one more time. And they did, and the bounty was plentiful. And so, there is in life this momentum that we have to keep going, and we have to keep trying. And if you can think about the pendulum of creation, at one point we have this swinging pendulum that we're all a part of, and really that pendulum isn't separate from creation, because there wasn't anything separate from that. Creation was about creating this delusion that we actually live in, we're a part of. We weren't meant to be. Our journey is about finding that creation and recognizing, as in the word yoga, of union. We are actually a part of creation. And how do we get there? It sounds really simple, doesn't it? Well, we just have to wake up every day and recognize that we're actually part of God. We are actually that, and get there. So it's kind of an interesting thing. So what was created, and I'm going to read something from the New Path, what was created that kept us in delusion? So over time and evolution, we started as a single atom, and then we created, and we were rocks and stones, and then we moved into the animal kingdom, and then we became humans, and we got this free will, and to an extent we got this free will, but what keeps us there, and what is our answer to get out of it? What is how do we live to get out of it? And I was reading the New Path, and there's this beautiful chapter in the New Path. It's in chapter 28 on reincarnation, and it talks about creation, and then it talks about what karma is and the simplicity of karma in a really nice way. So evolution of awareness begins at the lowest level of conscious identity. But then man has the ability to exercise intelligent discrimination, and also has the amount of free will. From this point on, he can either speed up spiritual evolution, delay it, or temporarily reverse it by his own use of or misuse of the freedom that was given with the free will. And Swami writes here, karma means simply action or movement. So that's that movement we're talking about. Every action implies movement from a state of rest in the center, so it's the pendulum. It results invariably sooner or later in an equal or opposite movement, the ups and downs of life, in a reaction in kind. Hatred given results in hatred received. Love given attracts love. Anger, kindness, forgiveness, or help freely given to others results in anger, kindness, forgiveness, or help returned. If not from the same people, then from others, since the post, the start of the pendulum, to which the action is tied is the originating ego. The response can be delayed indefinitely, however, by what Master called the thwarting cross currents of ego. And down further, Swami writes, karma then can be described as the system of rewards and punishments which helps the ego ultimately to spurn all personal attachments and thereby to manifest its innate divinity. Suffering is the karmic result of actions performed that is not in tune with a person's intrinsic divine nature. Fulfillment is the reward for living at least to some degree in harmony with that nature and truth. To learn all one's lessons thoroughly requires more opportunities for error and self-correction than one gets in a single lifetime. Often indeed more than one incarnation is needed to learn even one more important lesson. And what that brings us back to is the yamas and the niyamas. As a part of karma, there are certain actions that can overrule, and they're the attunement with the divine's nature and spirit. So love, peace, joy, wisdom. So when you attune to those, that pendulum actually overcomes, or you move closer and closer up the pendulum. So if you can imagine a pendulum swinging, as we enact the karma, or we empower more of the positive karmas and the elements, we're up here where the pendulum swings not as much until we're perfected in those. And if you think about the yamas and the niyamas, ultimately what they're doing is to try and control the pendulum swing. They're there to overact being out here in this world of these ups and downs and move us further and further up. And that's being that center of the storm. And then eventually the highest point is where you're actually uniting. You're actually uniting with creation. And you recognize that it's not separate. We aren't actually separate. We're not a part of that pendulum swim. We can be an observer, but we're not actually there. And then you have this awakening of recognition, this self-realization that you aren't that pendulum swing. You're not a part of it. You're actually the observer of it, and you're the doer. And that's that part where we can start living in those moments instead of being a part of those moments. And it's the essence and ultimately the lesson that Yogananda brought, and we often speak about it, but that's why Master had so much emphasis on savor. He was out there doing to the point where he wanted you to recognize that you aren't the doer. He wanted you to get out of that, because that's the devotee that complained and said, I didn't come here. I came to get the blessing of being in meditation. I didn't come here to build swimming pools or shovel piles or do those things. But ultimately, that is also a part of creation. And if you keep seeing yourself as separate in everything that you do, you're just speeding up and playing with this pendulum of life. So that essence of what Master brought to us was recognizing that we aren't the doers. We are a part of creation. We are that union. We are the yogic union of creation, and to be the observer of the pendulum. And we've got all the amazing tools to get us there. We've got all these beautiful, amazing teachers. We've got books and books and amazing people to be around to support this journey of the higher spirit.
Thank you, dear. I thought I would just highlight this phrase once more. Be ye therefore perfect, even as your Father which is in heaven is perfect. So that phrase in itself really captures the essence of, it's so beautiful, this path, because it's such a wonderful unity of East and West. But we have that, and we have the Bhagavad Gita scripture line in the 7th chapter. Yet hard the wise Mahatma is to find, that man who saith all is Vasudev. Vasudev being that oneness or union with spirit. And in the above scripture reading from the Bible, it's that Father in heaven, which is in our path we talk about, the light that then was pure. It was oneness. It was beyond creation. And then Om, the sound of creation, is the most pure form of light manifesting on earth. So we have the ability to go back into Om, which is the purest form of being here. That's that perfection or the supreme soul. But to do that, we need humility. That's the key. It's recognizing that there is no little ego I. There is only spirit manifesting. So everything on our path helps us to practice humility and letting go of the ego so that we can be in that space of Om, which feels bliss. That is the state of bliss, but it's ever new, ever existing, ever conscious. And one of the things when you look at the readings to study for this week's topic, it talks about how few people chase bliss. They chase matter. And that is like the simplicity of this. So the teachers come and they say, I want to help you, but you have a choice. But you have to give it your all just to overcome that forgetfulness that we're here for, the goal to be free in bliss, not to chase matter. And it's such a simple thing, but how many lives have we formed these bad habits that keep us bound to that thought, that we have to keep trying to, be in this delusion, and that will make us happy. And that it's like, no, meditation, service. The path makes it really simple, but you have to do those things, not saying, look how good I'm serving, or look at my meditation. It's a lovely meditation. It's we have to go into the place of pure Om, which is thoughtless. It's without I-ness. It is just being. So whenever you have those moments of breathlessness that all these yoga science techniques are trying to help us experience, you will find that as soon as you say, I went breathless, you breathe again. It's the moment where the observer, which is the higher self, is experiencing in the stillness, in complete oneness. Those moments are beyond Om even. True freedom, moksha, is pure light, which is why last week we shared that story. When Swamiji was free, people who weren't even on this path or even knew what path we were on, they saw light. And that's because he went beyond even Om into beyond. That's cosmic consciousness, and that's what the great ones are saying. And that's why, they have no space and time binding them, because they're beyond even Om. They're in the light, and light can be anywhere at any moment. It's something that we're still trying to conceptualize as little people on this little planet, is that if we could be back absorbed into the purest form of isness, we would be able to go anywhere, anytime, bilocate, levitate, all those cities that we're learning about in Raja Yoga that come through the perfection of yamas and niyamas, which when I saw this topic, I thought, ooh, class tomorrow night, we're gonna have so much fun, because they say, well, how do you get to reunite? It's practicing trying to be perfect and aspire for the things that we were given. We have the 10 commandments. We have another part of this reading studies was bringing back the Beatitudes, and they're all completely unity with our yamas and niyamas, because those are the practical daily life tools that the masters have come and said, if you can do this, you'll be more in the Om. And then once you get in the Om and you've perfected that absorption, dhyana, then you can go into samadhi, the light consciousness, which is omniscient. It's being omniscient as well, because you go beyond anything in this world. And it's so hard to even fathom, right? It goes out and expands out so great that it almost is frightening. So I'll just bring us back with a little story. We were at this what is it called? Questacon? Which I think some of you probably are very familiar with, but for anyone who's not, it's like a science tech museum, and it's really child friendly, but I think its purpose, its vision is to create a sense of curiosity for how things work in this world, and to spark a bit of love for science at a young age. But it's through these things that are experiential, which we all know, even with the yogic path, it's the experiences that make it fun, that make it ever new, that make it tangible. And one of the things that they had on display was this light harp. And I just loved this light harp, because light is shining, no sound, because light is pure. As soon as you put your hands or movement in front of the light, which is what our little distractions, likes and dislikes are, they're like little vibrations and vrittis that cause the light vibration to be affected. So pure light is there. When we add our movement, it created on this light harp sound. And I thought, well, I can make this sound really terrible by going ba 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 and being all crazy and chaotic in my movements, which is what negativity is like. And when you look at water pictures, and you look at the picture of the water when someone's hateful or cacophony, it's all chaos, and it's not a good picture. But when you play beautifully on this light harp, or similarly, when you have loving, sweet thoughts and water, what becomes a beautiful sound or picture or image. And so I thought, well, as devotees, how high can we aspire? At least let us aspire to be that beautiful symphony. So we play in this Leela as a beautiful angel of light, doing our best to be kind, to be loving, to make beautiful paintings, to make beautiful music, clothes, just being a loving family member who cares deeply for those around us or in our workplaces or in our daily life. So that is the goal that we can aspire to. But the great ones remind us the way to freedom is through God. It's God's grace in the end that helps us to go from even that sound to beyond in the light. And it's a merging. It's an experience of pure merging back into spirit. But it's guess what will help your love for God. And eventually that magnet of your love will become so strong and so powerful with Guru's grace, with God's grace, that the love explodes into that being of cosmic consciousness. That's that experience of samadhi. It comes in the heart and then it unites here. So everything that we're doing on our path is going to help you. So give it your very all and play your symphony beautifully as you give it a go. And just know that we're all helping each other, as you said, to do that, to be a beautiful light harp in our own little, daily life that we are here to live through. But every time that we remember, God made that mistake. God was that achievement. That is God's gift. I'm getting out of the way so that God can come through me. And then that's when that beautiful music can occur. So with that, we have some beautiful music for you. So I'll go ahead and play that for you all now.